são iguais. Ai, qualquer dia, Deus queira que isto não mude.
Hey everybody, I'm TL Westgate and this is our seminar on how to get your films into more festivals at Filmapalooza 2024. Welcome to Lisbon.
TL, we're not in Lisbon anymore. We're in your living room in Orlando.
Oh, right. Well, now what?
Let's get started.
Okay.
Welcome to How to Get Your Film into Festivals. It's good to be here with you, TL, because as you know, I wasn't able to join you at the festival itself. I came down with some sort of festival flu, and you filled in admirably for me. In fact, I heard you got a standing ovation. Of course, that's how people stood up at the end to walk out. So it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, I really regret that I wasn't able to be at the workshop at Filmapalooza, and you really did do a great job going solo, so thank you for that.
Thanks. Well, and we're not going solo today. We have my dog here who has to be in the picture.
Yes.
This is Pippin, everyone.
So 3 of us today.
Yes. Bonus moderator.
Kind of reminds me of The Godfather, where Marlon Brando was sitting there with a cat on his lap, and you don't see the cat for about a full minute. So if you didn't happen to see the dog, there's Pippin,
yes.
our third member of the crew. The other thing I wanted to mention right off is that in addition to doing the workshop, or not doing the workshop at Filmapalooza, I was a consulting judge. So I was able to watch all 110 of the films from the regular 48-hour film project competition and provide feedback to Mark and the rest of the 48 staff about those films. And I just want to tell you again, since I didn't get to tell you in person, what an amazing job you all did. It's really just phenomenal what you all can do in 48 hours. And this is the second year in a row that I've been a consulting judge, and the quality from top to bottom just seems to continue to improve year to year. I think you'll agree from the films you saw, just the technical expertise. Everybody's really at the top of their game with 48-hour film project these days.
And after my editing workshop this year, they'll be even better next year.
Of course. So you want to just jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We're going to go point by point. I'm going to talk first about more general type advice. Some of this might seem common sense. Some of it might get into specifics that you haven't heard before. And then toward the end of the presentation, TL, you'll take over and talk a bit more about some technical specific things that related to Film Freeway and some other general advice, but a bit more technical than I'm going to get into.
I'm more from the filmmaker side, you're more from the film critic side, obviously, so this is good, valuable information you're going to get from Cameron.
So number one is to stay up to date with the latest trends in filmmaking. Now, if you want to make a zombie film, if that's your life's goal to make a zombie film, I'm not here to discourage you from doing that. Do what your heart tells you to do. But realize that you're probably not going to get into a ton of film festivals with that zombie film.
No, there are plenty of genre film festivals, but you're not going to play in the bigger markets unless, you manage to get Brad Pitt to be a zombie for some reason.
Yeah. Or if you have a really original take on a zombie film.
It better be really original.
Yes. So pay attention to what they call the zeitgeist, what trends are out there, what are the hot topics. Don't get too cynical, don't sell yourself out. But if you have been longing to make a film about a topic that is really in everybody's mind right now, then maybe now's the time to do it. I'm thinking about one film that was nominated for an Oscar this past year for Best Live Action Short. It dealt with abortion. Well, for good or bad reasons, that is a hot topic. So
again,
yeah, it was a good film, but it was a good film done at the right time.
Exactly.
And I guess the point I'm making with point number one is that make a good film, but if you can have timing with your film's release, that's going to improve your chances with film festivals. Yeah. The next point is shorter is usually better. And TL, you talk about this all the time, how if there are 2 or 3 films that a submission jury is looking to put into a film festival, and they total 15 minutes, and then your film happens to be 15 minutes, they're going to pick the 2 or 3 films instead of yours. Luckily, we're talking here mostly about your 48-hour film project film. which is limited to 7 minutes, 8 minutes plus credits. So automatically you have a better chance of getting in with a film of that length. But once you're done with the 48-hour film project and you want to make another film, anything under 10 minutes is going to have a much better chance than a short film of 15 or 20, which is just a tough fit for a lot of festivals.
Yeah, what's that they say? If a short film is good, great. If it's bad, at least it's short.
Yeah, if it's bad, it's over. The third point sort of goes along with this. Limit your opening credits. We've all seen films that spend a minute or two on opening credits. And unless you have Brad Pitt or a big name, there's really no reason to have long opening credits. Or frankly, long closing credits.
True.
Get to the point, move on to the things that submission panel, jury, whatever you want to call it, are looking for. And they're not looking to watch 3 or 4 minutes of credits with a short film.
Especially the intro credits. I mean, it can be egregious at the end as well. Don't have a super slow crawl. Oh my God, look who did craft services. That's amazing. But it's even more so the intro credits. Title, film, go. Whenever I go to a film festival and I see a Mike Masterson film, I say, who's that? Starring Scott Fuller. Who's that? With Sarah Smith. Who's that? I don't know any of these people. You don't know me. I mean, you know me because we've been introduced. But, you know, if you go to a film festival and you see these films from these people that you have no idea who the names are, they mean nothing. They waste time. You're automatically, right out of the gate, starting to bore your audience. So just title, get into the film.
Mm-hmm. A feature is a different animal entirely. You need some time to breathe and to relax and get into this 2-hour experience that you're going to have. But a short film is completely different. So get to the point, and that will improve your chances of getting into film festivals.
Definitely.
Now, point number 4 is essential, and that's having a tiered plan of small, mid, and major festivals. You need to figure out what your target is. We all want to play the Cannes Film Festival, or Sundance, or Berlin, or Venice, or Toronto, the really big ones. But if you're honest with yourself, it should become apparent after you finish your film whether that film is destined for those major festivals. I'm talking top 10 or 15. And in all honesty, unless you just absolutely knock it out of the park, probably not going to get into those top 10. Now, that doesn't mean you haven't made a great film, and it doesn't mean that you can't get into that next level. And I'm thinking that level is, at least for the state of Florida, Florida Film Festival, Sarasota Film Festival. I would think film festivals like New York and Tribeca might be up at the very top. Right. But there are some really good festivals, even Oscar qualifying festivals, and we'll talk more about the Oscar qualifying later. But there's some good, really good mid-level festivals. And if you're wanting to target those, go for those first. Don't target the small festivals and get into those small festivals and then expect to get into the mid-major festivals. Because Florida Film Festival, Sarasota Film Festival, those types of festivals on that level, even Tribeca, if you want to go for Tribeca, it's the kiss of death to submit to those festivals once you've played tiny little festivals or little genre festivals, which are fantastic, but those should come at the end of your run.
Definitely.
Maybe a year or a year and a half into your run.
Yeah, you don't work your way up the ladder when it comes to the tiers. You need to start as high as you can shoot for. And again, in my opinion, especially with a 48 with no name talent, don't go for Sundance because they want to sell tickets, so they want name brands. They want people with name recognition. So you avoid the top tier, and if like Cameron says, you've captured lightning in a bottle with your 48 and you want to try for some of the mid tiers, go there first and work your way down. Because if you start at the bottom, they're going to look down their nose at your film and say, oh, they played everywhere. They want some type of premiere status.
Exactly. I was just going to mention premiere status. It doesn't have to be national. It doesn't have to be even regional. But there are festivals, and I keep coming back to the Florida Film Festival because that's kind of our home festival here in Orlando. They want, at the very least, they want the Central Florida premiere. They would like the Florida premiere. They would like the Southeast premiere. So keep that in mind, that you want to make yourselves special for the festival that you're submitting to. So the next one, number 5, and this is the one that I think gives Mark Rupert a little bit of a heart attack, but I want to assure him that we're not discouraging you from using the required elements. So number 5 is don't necessarily use the required elements prominently in your films. Obviously, you need the elements to be there, and they need to be noticeable. You don't want to put the required prop in the background of a scene out of focus. You don't want your judges or your city producer to have to watch your film 5 times to make sure that the prop is there. You certainly don't want to fudge your line. And you don't want to make it very vague what the character's name is or what that person does for a living. So the elements need to be there, but you're going to have greater success with your 48-hour film, usually, if you don't emphasize those elements. Because let's face it, we've all had weird props and weird lines of dialogue that we sort of had to shoehorn in. And then when that film ended up playing other festivals, audiences were confused. Like, why are they emphasizing the dry erase board so much, or the banana, or I gotta bring up Richmond, which I was a judge for last year. Some great films, by the way. I really wanted to meet you guys from Richmond, and I'm sorry I couldn't at Filmapalooza. The prop was a banana. Well, a banana's funny, and it's just fun to work with. Most of the films made the plot about the banana, which is fine, but it's not going to play as well at other festivals. It's just not.
Yeah.
So consider that. And your point about editing out those elements, if possible, when it plays non-48-hour film project festivals, is important too.
Yeah, that's to his point. If you've got a weird prop that you have to include, and it seems everybody in your screening in your city, they know what the prop is, so they're all looking for it. But outside of the 48, it could come off as really weird. Like, why are they so obsessed with this? Whatever. So what I did for a 48 I shot in Charlotte a couple years ago was we got musical, and
You have a lovely singing voice, by the way.
I do not. He lies. But so I crafted the film to have right in the middle one of the characters sing a line of dialogue, and another character points it out, like, why are you singing right now? We made a point to make fun of the fact that he sung, so it qualified as a musical for the genre, but I took that part out because taking it out, pushing the other surrounding scenes back together, it's like it never happened, and now it makes more sense for audiences outside the 48.
And I think you can also have greater success at Filmapalooza by not necessarily emphasizing those props. Because if you really emphasize a prop or the line of dialogue or the character, you can end up winning those awards. The awards for best prop, best line, best use of character. But year after year, the films that really rise to the top at Filmapalooza are good films. And what I mean by that is we've all seen great 48-hour films, but then they're good films that can play any festival, almost any festival in the world, and people won't know it was made in 48 hours because it's just so good. And that's ultimately the type of film that you want. So, a little bit of advice on how to use the prop and line of dialogue and character. Number 6, this is a no-brainer, but it needs to be said. Get permission for copyrighted elements and make it clear that you have permission. You don't want a submission jury to have to wonder whether you've gotten permission to use a song or other copyrighted elements.
Yeah.
Make it prominent and put it in your end credits that you've got permission.
In fact, I saw a film in the Orlando Film Festival a couple years ago, a short film that used, I think, Kiss Me Deadly by Lita Ford. I know it was Lita Ford, a Lita Ford song. And so I was thinking, wow, they paid for a Lita Ford song? Okay, that's a chunk of money.
Impressive.
But guess what happened in the end credits? Lita Ford, the filmmaker was recording and asked her, "Hey, can I use your song in my film?" And she said, "Yeah, go ahead." There was the proof right there, right at the credits.
Oh, that is specific.
Yeah.
Probably more specific than you need, but still, that is very specific. Number 7 is a little complicated. It's important that you realize the limitations of and the stigma associated with a timed filmmaking competition. The 48-hour film project is second in the world to none with timed filmmaking competitions. Its reputation is very solid. But for those major festivals, there's still a little bit of hesitancy on their part to accept timed filmmaking competition films. It's just the way it is. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of festivals maybe just sort of pass them over even without taking much of a look. So the reason we mention this is don't get discouraged. Don't take it personally. And just keep making the best films that you can make. Ultimately, you'll probably have better success at getting your films into festivals with your non-48-hour films. That's my experience. But that still doesn't mean you can't have success with your 48-hour film project films.
Oh, totally. Most of my films that have gone out to festivals are my 48s. And, every once in a while you will run into that festival programmer who looks down their nose at a 48. Oh, it's 48. I look at it on the flip side of the coin. Yes, look at what we did in 48 hours. So be proud of what you do. Just understand that some of the hoitier festivals might not accept your film. But as with any rejection I get on Film Freeway, I just delete the email and move on.
Yeah, try to stay positive, and realize that you're competing against short films with budgets that have taken 2 or 3 or 4 months to film. And that's the limitation of a 48-hour film project. You did this with no budget in 48 hours, and maybe you can still get into those film festivals, and that is quite an achievement if you think about that.
While we were in Lisbon for the film of this year, a film of mine that won the city 2 years ago, All for Naught, played in Gasparilla. Krista went, my co-star, and she went to the screening and she said, "Oh my God, all the films were great." And they were like really high quality, and then they had the Q&A with filmmakers afterward, and some guy was talking about how they shot the film and it took them a year to score it. So we're talking about a short film here. Some of these short films have really long production schedules and budgets, and you did it in 48 hours for about $60, so good for you.
And isn't it the best compliment when an audience doesn't realize it's a 48-hour film? I've seen 48-hour films play in blocks of films, and it's the only 48-hour film in that block, and only maybe in the Q&A is it revealed that this is a 48-hour film.
Yeah, I really relish that when I'm on the panel, and there's always a question like, so we went down at this one festival, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we did ours for the 48-hour film project, and if you're not familiar with it," and I ran through it real quick. And then somebody asked a question, somebody asked another question of all the filmmakers, and somebody said, "How long did it take you to make your film?" And they went down the line and got to me, and I was like, "I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it took 48 hours. So, yeah, we all kick ass making 48-hour films. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
And of course, the tagline is there in your credits, made for the 48-hour film project, but most people don't see that, or they don't realize what it is.
Yep.
So. Another no-brainer, number 8, don't publicly post your film. What can we say about that? That's a real no-brainer.
It is, because festivals don't want, it's kind of stupid, but they don't want your film to be viewable online because they fear that it's going to eat away at their ticket sales. I mean, if we're all making short films, you're going to be in a block of 12 other short films, so I doubt if somebody saw your film online, they're going to not buy a ticket for the other 11 films. Whatever, it's still just a good idea to not have your film publicly viewable online until after you're done with your film festival run. It doesn't mean you can't share it, it just means it shouldn't be visible publicly.
But do post a trailer online.
Definitely.
You want to build goodwill and publicity for it. You just want a really short trailer.
Yeah, you want to whet appetites and build some intrigue and make people want to see your film. And after you have provided content to all these film festivals and they make their money off ticket sales, then you can put it online.
Number 9 is a little bit what we were talking about before. Have a timed plan. So just like you have a tiered plan, you want to make sure that you figure out, okay, how long am I going to be submitting this film to festivals? You got to build in some rejection time from the big festivals, and then acceptance time and a run time for the mid-majors, and then finally the smaller festivals. What's been the longest run of any film that you've done over the festival circuit?
About 3 years.
That's really long.
But it was during COVID. It was like right when we it was Spy Guys. It was that. Oh, The Cure. That one.
And they say filmmakers have small egos. Look at all of this. It's film critics who are supposed to have the big egos, and we're in a room full of wonderful movie posters.
These are only posters from the Orlando Film Festival who print them out for you. So I don't get posters of all my films. But yeah, due to the long COVID time when festivals weren't physical and so forth, it lasted a lot longer. But typically, you can get about a year and a half, maybe eke out a 2-year lifespan for a film, because older than that, and film festivals don't want it. Now, there are some, smaller tier festivals who don't really have a time limitation. They don't care, but that's rare. So plan on about a year and a half lifespan for your film.
Number 10 is know the sensibility and the audience of the festival you're submitting to. You're spending your money, so you might as well do a little research. If it's a genre festival and you're in the wrong genre, then you've just wasted $20, $30 in submission fees.
Right.
Know whether your film festival has a bit more of a mature audience. Is it more of a Sundance, or is it more of a slam dance?
Mm-hmm.
Just spend a little time understanding why you're submitting to certain festivals, and then you're not hurt personally if you get that rejection. You might think, well, it wasn't right for that film festival. Number 11, know which festivals are Oscar accredited. There are fewer than 200 with Oscar accreditation, which might sound kind of crazy. You'd think there'd be more, but there is a list, and we provided you with that list in this presentation. So take a look at that. You might be surprised at some of the festivals with unfamiliar names that aren't necessarily really, really difficult to get into. Target them, because it might sound like a crazy dream, but all it really takes is 1 or 2 judges at an Oscar-accredited festival to really like your film, and then suddenly it's one of the 3 categories, animated, live action, or documentary, and it's shortlisted for an Oscar. And even if nothing happens after that, you can still say you're shortlisted for an Oscar, and talk about a career boost. So that is such an important strategy when submitting to festivals, is try to look for those Oscar accredited ones.
Yeah, and by Oscar accredited, it's not like this film festival in Greece can just send any film to the Oscars. They're only accredited for maybe short animated films, very specific categories. Not just being an Oscar accredited film festival doesn't mean it's for every film that plays in that festival. It might only be a certain category. So if your film lines up with one of those categories and you want to target maybe a smaller or mid-tier, because you're like, ooh, well, that one, it's smaller,
mm-hmm.
but it's Oscar accredited, and we did a really good job this year in this one category, that's where I want to put my money to have my shot.
Yes, very few festivals are accredited in all 3, short animation, short live action, and short documentary. Florida Film Festival is one.
Oh, okay.
And I don't mean to be a spokesperson for the Florida Film Festival. You're welcome, guys. You can send me the check whenever you want.
Yeah, the Florida Film Festival is great.
And it's coming up soon. Right here in Orlando. No. But yes, it is one of the few that is accredited in all 3 categories. Off the cuff, I'd say maybe only 30, 40 festivals around the world have accreditation in all 3 categories. So, it's a feather in their cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, again, look for those Oscar-accredited festivals. Number 12, we all know IMDb, Internet Movie Database, but maybe we don't all know IMDb Pro. Are you a member of IMDb Pro? What has been the benefit for you in paying, about $145 a year for IMDb Pro?
more access to more information than the standard account, which maybe, since I have it, I don't know quite the difference. Do you know what the differences are?
That's the main difference. For a film critic or a journalist, it's essential because you can find contact information. Agents and managers and actors and directors, there's a lot of stuff there. It doesn't mean they're going to write you back, but sometimes they do. As a filmmaker, that is so important because sometimes you see an actor and you think, oh, this person is perfect for my film, or a director or a writer, and I'm talking the big names here. But maybe you've watched a feature, a big studio feature, and the writer is not very well known, but you just love that script. Maybe there's a chance you could work with that writer, either on your feature or your short film or 48-hour project. You just don't know. If you have IMDb Pro, and I know $145 a year sounds like a lot, but if you have IMDb Pro, you can contact these people. It also allows you, I believe, to put more information and graphics about yourself and your films on your IMDb account.
Yeah, you have more control over your images, your posters, the awards, the festivals that you play in. It's just, I want to say it's worth the money, but if you can't afford it, work your way towards it, because it's just a wealth of information.
Or give it a chance for a year, and if it didn't benefit you, you can just cancel the membership.
Mm-hmm.
So give it a try. Again, commercial for IMDb. IMDb. Number 13, attend festivals as much as possible. So this is another suggestion to get you to spend money. But if you can go to as many festivals as you can, maybe close to home, that's a way of networking. It's a way of finding out, okay, what are the films that are getting in? Maybe my film didn't get into this festival, but I'm not going to sit home and feel bad about myself. I'm going to go out there and see what the competition is. And maybe, just maybe, you'll think, oh, that's what I need to be doing. Or this film is the same quality as mine, but it's 10 minutes, and mine was 15. So I guarantee you're going to become a better filmmaker and a better person just by going to film festivals.
And it's a great way to meet other actors or directors or people to work with potentially, because they might be in the audience too, or you can at least watch their film and look them up on IMDb Pro. Yes. So it's a great way to network even if the other people aren't there. Another benefit to not only seeing these films that are as good or better than yours, so you can strive to attain that level, unfortunately it's also good to see what not to do. Sometimes in festivals you wonder how it got programmed, the film that you're watching. So it's a great way to see what to not do as well as to see what to do.
Exactly. The last item in this first part is another common sense element, but it's something that I see a lot of people just don't do enough, and that's just use your social media in the right way. You can't post your full film online until it's done with its festival run, so blanket social media as much as you can. Talk about your film, talk about the festival that your film is getting into, because that generates a lot of good feeling, especially if you go. That makes the festival directors feel better. It just creates an atmosphere of celebration around your film. And then Linktree is an important thing too.
That could be a one-stop electronic business card for you, to have a Linktree account, which will send people to your Facebook, your Instagram, your X, Twitter, any OnlyFans, whatever outlets you use. It's a one-stop shop.
So that's the general advice that I have. I see I put your dog to sleep. I hope I haven't put you to sleep.
Well, now the fun part. Now my half.
Wasn't this part of your half too? Now the technical, more technical advice, right?
Yeah. Now I'm one of you, so a filmmaker. So I'm going to jump into a few topics here, just to help you out. I mean, maybe this is all stuff that you know and do anyway, but this is part of the panel, so here we go. So once you've got your film turned in for the 48, you're done, right? Well, not necessarily. What you can do, if you want to take a shot at these other tiered festivals around the world, is fix your film. There might be some, audio dropouts, a black frame. So you might want to tweak the color correction. If you had any visual effects, give that another pass. For me personally, I don't ever shoot more. My film is the film I made in the 48 hours, but you can enhance it. You can fix all those little problems that might prevent you from getting into other festivals, especially audio. Oddly enough, it's called film, which is visual, but audio is the most important thing to getting your film into festivals. If it's got bad audio, as soon as they hear that, they won't even finish watching your film. So fix it up. There's some great audio AI now in Premiere. So if you didn't do it on your first pass to scramble to get it in by the 48, definitely have another pass at your film and fix all the mistakes that you can.
Would this be the time to look at those elements as well that we talked about before and see if it makes sense to maybe downplay,
de-emphasize,
yes.
Which, to that point, we're kind of going back in time here, but if you are making a film that's very banana centric because that's your prop, and you realize it's not going to play outside of the 48, maybe while you're shooting, shoot an alternate version of a scene or two just to make a different version for the festival run. You still got your 48 version, satisfies all the requirements, but if you de-emphasize some of these things that will give you a longer life on the film festival circuit, certainly do that and make a tweaked edit after you're done. In other words, fix your film.
Good idea.
As we were talking about before, remove those intro credits, cut your film down. I think Mark's got it right. A 4 to 7 minute film is the sweet spot for length. But, if you had 1 year, I wound up short. I had to use intro credits to make my film at least the 4 minutes. So if you can avoid that, take out those intro credits, because as we said, nobody knows you yet. You're going to be famous someday, trust me.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, and this is also kind of falls into the fix your film thing. You can reduce your intro credits, fix up things on the film, maybe tweak your ending credits, make those don't fly by too fast. Give everybody their credit, their due, but don't have a super slow crawl at the end. If I make a comedy, I like to put bloopers in the credits at the end. So have fun with your film, fix it up, reduce. So this goes along with everything else we've been saying, but to just pare your film down, make it shorter, as short as possible. Sometimes things don't work. I mean, I go to film festivals all the time and see my film up on the screen, and despite a dozen viewings, I watch it and think, oh God, that one shot lags a little bit. I should probably cut 10 frames off that. You're always constantly tweaking in your mind. I think George Lucas is credited as saying, films are never finished, they're abandoned. Which,
well, he would know the way he likes to re-edit.
He's the ultimate tweaker.
He is.
But even on the short film realm, I do that with my own films, and I'm like, oh wait, I heard something different this time. Maybe I should take another look at the audio, or like I said, timing wise, you can pare your film down just to give it a more breezy cut. So shaving seconds even will help.
I think that's especially important in comedies. I remember seeing a director's cut of Airplane a few years ago, and I thought, well, that's really tight. How could he improve that? Well, there's that second "Don't Call Me Shirley" joke. There are 2 in the film, and in the edit I saw, he took out the second. It makes it a better film. So even successful features, years down the road, not George Lucas, because he always does it, but other people, you can revisit that. So certainly if you want success in festivals that are not associated with a 48-hour film project, your film has to move, especially if it's comedy. It really needs to move quickly.
And a lot of times, especially with the 48, we don't afford ourselves all the time needed for like a good color grade. Even the pros do it. Look up the Matrix color grading. The initial batch version of the DVDs had a different color grade than the fixed version. So always give yourself more time after the fact to fix it up and pare it down.
We should point out that you had a second workshop at Filmapalooza. Some of you might have seen that, where you talked specifically about editing and color grading and J cuts and L cuts.
Yes, and I'll be making a video about that too, So look for that as well.
There's my plug for your second workshop.
Aw, thanks, Cameron.
You're welcome.
So, the one-stop shop for all things film festival is filmfreeway.com. Now, it didn't used to be. Film Freeway came about in 2015, and the big boy on the block was Without a Box, which was owned by IMDb. Without a Box was expensive and clunky, and Film Freeway came in and democratized everything, and now there's no more Without a Box, thank God.
Or Without a Box.
Yes, because you used to have to send in DVDs and you'd have to pay for them to digitize it. It was stupid. Film Freeway has fixed all that, so you need a Film Freeway profile for yourself. That talks about your films and all your credits and so forth, and then you make another page per project, per film or script. I think it takes scripts as well. So that's your go-to. You make out your own profile, so if people are interested, they can find out all about you. And then when you take your 48 and upload it and start putting it out into festivals. There's a whole strategy about Film Freeway that we'll be going over here. So the first step is to upload your film project. Now, as this is actually come not so much from the filmmaker part of me, but the film festival runner part of me. I also run a small genre film festival, so I watch a lot of films on the other side of Film Freeway. And believe me, as a screener, the easiest thing for you to do as a filmmaker is just upload your film to Film Freeway. Do not link it from YouTube. Do not link it from Vimeo. Definitely do not password protect it. That is very cumbersome. As a screener, you have to copy the password, paste it, hit enter. It's a whole rigmarole. I know it only sounds like it takes an extra 2 seconds, but do that after watching 60 to 100 films and it starts to get on your nerves.
It's what we talked about before. If people at those film festivals are going through hundreds of films, seconds matter. It can be the seconds in the opening credits. It could be the seconds that it takes to log in to see that film.
Exactly. Make it easy on the screener. Upload your film just right there to Film Freeway, and make it not password protected. Just all your bio information, all the film information about your film, easy peasy, and that will increase your chances.
Good advice.
So on your project page for every film that you have, you obviously need to upload the film, but there's also room to upload the trailer and your poster, a bio about the director, maybe a director's statement. Fill that in with as much information as you can, including even still shots or behind the scenes photos, because film festivals will utilize this information. Again, me as a film festival runner, I take all the posters and use those to promote all the films that were accepted. So posters are important, trailers important. We talked about that before. That can get the public interested, but also film festivals may use your trailer as well to promote.
Some festivals even have contests for the best poster. I think you do that for your festival, right?
Yes, I've done that, and I've seen trailer, best trailer. So that's another feather in your cap. So definitely fill out the profile page, all the information you can. More information is better than none.
Yes.
So on your film page, aside from trying to avoid YouTube and Vimeo and password, one of the settings that you want to change is your default settings to make sure that you check that festivals can download your film. It's a real hassle as a film festival runner to have a film and there's no link to download it. There's only a link to request to download it. So now I have to send a request to the filmmaker who, I don't know how often they check their mail or if it's going to get caught up in spam. I've actually had films that play in my festival that I couldn't play the film because they never read their email that I needed their file. We as film festivals, we're not out to steal your film, okay? Just make it allowable to be downloaded by us and all will be well. One last thing is a strategy on how you as a filmmaker can use film festival to maximize your budget. Most of my budget for any film goes into film festival submission fees. And in order to stretch that as far as possible, what I do is I have a calendar reminder on Google. Every Monday, 10 a.m. tells me to go to Film Freeway. So what I do is I search only for early bird deadlines until Sunday. So 1 week at a time, I will look for festivals and say, oh, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, or, Iceland sounds nice this time of year. I find the festivals that I might want to attend, or that are, I have a good reputation at, local ones.
Don't you have a good reputation everywhere, TL?
Yes, I do.
Wink, wink.
But yeah, only search for early birds, because you might find one say, oh, I want to go to the Florida Film Festival, but it's in the late deadline right now. Well, you could spend the extra money and try, but you could also get early bird next year. But this kind of flies in the face of your tiered strategy, so you have to know where to spend your money. But targeting early bird deadlines is going to help you get into more festivals.
And it saves you a little cash.
Yes.
We've given you plenty of advice in this workshop to spend your money.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're telling you how to save a little bit.
And you're going to need to, because if you can, as we said before, attend. You most of you have been to Lisbon. That's great. So you are traveling filmmakers. You want to go see your film on screens around the world. So early birds, try to attend, save some money here and there.
Mm-hmm. I suppose now is the time where we would ask for questions.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's just you and me sitting here with your dog Pippin, email us or contact us with your questions. Seriously, especially me, because I didn't get to meet most of you at Filmapalooza. That would mean a lot to hear from you. So on our link tree and on this presentation, you'll see our contact information, our websites. Reach out to us if you have questions or concerns, or just to say hi. That would mean a lot.
That's kind of, the spirit of Filmapalooza is all about the networking, and not only meeting other filmmakers, but meeting filmmakers from around the world. That's even if you travel in the U.S. a lot to film festivals, you won't run into too many from other countries, and that's one of the great things about Filmapalooza. So let's all connect.
Yeah, and maybe we'll see each other in person at Seattle next year, right?
Seattle next year, yeah, and then who knows with the next international one.
Yeah, so exciting. It just keeps growing and growing.
We hope to see you there.
Yeah.